one side and Fraser Watson on the other. Good evening to you both.
Evening, Tom. How are you?
Evening, Tom. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. A bit of a windy and icy one over the weekend. Gordon, did you make it out at all?
Yeah, I did go out on Saturday afternoon. I went and watched it. A lot of it was obviously called off due to the weather, but there was 3 Senior Cup games played, and I went to watch Merlin's Bridge versus Penna Robbins on the all-weather surface. So they couldn't postpone that one.
The benefits.
The benefits of having a 3G pitch is, in this type of weather, we all need one.
It's paying dividends, isn't it? We had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, actually. We were saying, is there a need for more clubs to try and invest or rent them out back-to-back games, I suppose, is one of the options, isn't it?
Yeah.
Entertaining?
Yes, it was a good game. Merlin's Bridge came out on top in the end. They won 4-2. It was 1-1 at half-time with everything to play for in the second half. Bridge got a couple more goals to lead 3-1, but they played a Penna. They pulled one back 3-2. It was a bit of a nervy finish until Eaton-Evans scored a terrific free kick to put the 4th one in and make it 4-2, and there was no way back for Penna Robbins. So, yeah, excellent result for Merlin's Bridge. I think that's their 3rd win on the bounce now. 2 league and 1 cup, so they'll be happy with that.
They will. We'll look at football in more detail a little bit later on. We're actually also going to be looking ahead at the Sport Pembrokeshire Awards this Friday. So we've got Alan joining us from Sport Pembrokeshire to give a preview of that and talk of his golfing exploits. But before we do that, we're going to look at Fraser's weekend because it ties in nicely with our first topic. You were on a windy rugby match on the weekend.
I was. It was part of a very long and not so fruitful day for me, Tom. I happened to wake up about 2:30, 3, so I thought I'd stick the ashes on. After a couple of hours, I thought, well, hang on, I better just hang around here. And then I was going back to bed at 9 o'clock with the first test lost. So straight from that to seeing Swansea and Bristol at 12:30 kickoff, lose 3-0. Popped down to St David's then to cover them, losing at home to Narberth Athletic. And then just in time to see Wales ship 50 against New Zealand. So I've had happier days in following sport, but still,
it's not all about the winning, Fraser, is it?
Got to go through.
Especially last Saturday.
Yeah, got to go through these weekends, haven't we?
Yeah.
That Olympic spirit shining through, Gordon. It's about the participation.
Definitely, as I said, it's about the taking part, not the winning. Believe that, you believe anything.
I was going to say we'll ask our former winger now about what it was like on the touchline, because St David's have actually rung up quite a few good results this season as well.
Yeah, they struggled a bit of late, that has to be said. It started slowly. Narberth Athletic has to be said, we're by far the superior team. It was very windy down there. Pitch was actually fine compared to everywhere else in the county, but Narberth Athletic carried a lot more powerfully up front. They had the better set piece and they looked more dangerous. By the time St David's rallied, it was too little too late, really. So they're into now the Pembrokeshire Cup semi-final, and good to see that the Pembrokeshire Cup having a fierce local battle, to be honest. And it's a good idea to play these games at this time because they lose so much, these teams. You often don't play for 3 or 4 weeks. So it keeps momentum going, if nothing else.
Yeah, they were surprised, actually, that some matches were taking place anyway during this little international window. And I've been surprised with how many have taken place. But it's important, though, Gordon, isn't it, for that momentum and to keep the squads fit and active?
Definitely. I mean, we spoke about it many times on this programme. When you get a break in November as well, once you've got your season up and running, it seems a crazy situation not to be playing rugby for a month and then going back in December after the autumn international. So, yeah, Fraser's bang on. It's great to be able to have a few cup games going on while there is no league rugby. So it's ideal for the Pembrokeshire Cup to, get up and running.
Yeah, and semi-finals around the corner for Narberth Athletic. You can hear from James Merriman by listening back to the show once we've finished here this evening, the Narberth Athletic coach. Semi-finals then, Fraser.
Yeah.
They're only a game away from a final.
We've got an update on that, actually. So the semi-final draw will be Aberavon will play Narberth Athletic, which unfortunately, and we've called this out this year, we do have to again. Fishguard were due to play them this coming Saturday, I believe. They're unable to raise a side, which, that's the second Pembrokeshire side now, hasn't gone to Aberavon this season, which isn't really acceptable. But unfortunately, it's the Pembrokeshire Cup. It's played by it every year and it's been played by it again. But we do have Pembroke Dock against Tenby in the semi-final, and that'll be enthralling as well. Tenby obviously big favourites, but the Dock will fancy that. I did take a chuckle thinking of Gordon Thomas last week when Steve Barnett coached Pembroke Dock to a win over Haverfordwest in the KO Cup. The irony of that, of course, a former Haverfordwest stalwart himself. But great for them to be taking the competition so seriously. And then in the plate semi-finals have been done as well. Milford against Crimmock Athletic, and Pembroke or Whitland, who play this Friday, will play Neyland. So we could be on course for quite a tasty play final if it goes to form. You could have Milford Haven Neyland, but of course there's got other teams in the mix till then. But no, Pembroke and Whitland playing this Friday. The plate final take place April the 10th, and the cup final April the 18th. So let's hope we get one this year. Hey?
Yeah, just listening to those fixtures, it's so nice to hear those local teams. It was only a couple of weeks ago that Tenby travelled all the way to Wrexham to take part in a cup match. There's something exciting about having these local rivalries take place, isn't there?
Well, there should be, Tom. There should be. You know, unfortunately, we talk about this competition every year, and it tends to always discussion turns around to teams not fulfilling fixtures, and sadly, that has happened again this year. But no, look, you know, it was good to see Narberth Athletic, for example, taking the cup very seriously. Good to see how seriously Pembroke Dock have taken it, and they're awarded with a semi-final. And even if they don't overcome Tenby, they'll have a full house at the Quins, and it'll be worth a big day to the club. So no, it is good to see these, and teams should take them more seriously. And you know, and I really do hope Narberth, and I've got no doubt they will, do go to Abereyron now, because it makes a farce if teams aren't travelling.
And particularly with this new division, which has got these reserve teams in these athletics and the Seasiders and things like that, it's such an opportunity to get more game time, more experience, Gordon, and in an extra competitive environment.
Yeah, definitely. Again, we spoke about it before. Second team rugby had died many years ago, but you're right, Tom. It's good to see that there are a few clubs with second teams now and playing league rugby. Tenby are one side that are doing that, Narberth are another. You know, and it is important. And I know Haverfordwest have fielded a second team this season, and Fishguard as well. So, yeah, we need players from youth rugby. It's a big step up into senior level. And if you can play in a second team at senior level, just to bed in for a season or two. So we spoke about it before. Some youngsters just take to it like duck to water. Others really struggle because the physicality is a lot different to youth rugby. So yes, I'm glad to see that happening in local rugby.
And well, there's another Wales match which we're going to get onto in just a moment, but league action will return as well, and the other opportunities then for these players to try and excel and try and get promotion. There's still lots of rugby to be played.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, Tom. That, to be honest with you, I'm not going to be drawn into it.
Fraser, you mentioned the potential there for a Milford Neyland final there, but what other fixtures are you keeping a close eye on?
In terms of the cup, to be honest, I think that they're quite enticing. The plate final has been a good addition, actually. It's given an extra dimension to teams who are knocked out, and I think Milford have actually won the plate the last two seasons, so then there would be a spicy final. But of course, there's still Pembroke, Whitland and Crimmock Bulls left as well. And that one, I think Dock Tenby, as I mentioned there, will be a very big day. Unfortunately, with the distance Narberth's got to travel to Abereyron, that they are away, so you'd expect Abereyron to come through that. But it's back to league action then in 2 weeks' time, I believe, and it's quite intriguing because there's been a few free weekends in December which have actually been filled up with rearranged fixtures. We've really got to hope the weather plays ball because it's a crucial period now. We've had disruption for the last couple of weeks in rugby and football. I think there's games fixed scheduled the 21st and even the 28th of December, in fact. We really got to hope that the weather, like I said, holds true and they can get those games done, because you don't want a backlog going into the Six Nations, because then we're left with the same situation again.
Yeah.
And of course, the international rugby team don't have to worry about the weather. The roof was closed on the weekend. And before I talk about what the antics that actually happened on the pitch, I was quite frustrated actually to see what happened, the antics before kickoff, where New Zealand come over. You expect the haka, you appreciate the haka.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? I'm going to start with you, Gordon.
All right. I just feel that you should respect the that's what they've always done.
But what about the light show and everything they did, putting the Wales team in the darkness and making it a centerpiece? I was like, this is supposed to be home advantage, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm old school. I'm traditionalist. Let's just have the anthems. Let New Zealand do their haka, and then let's kick off and get on with the game. I'm not, one for all this glitz before the game, but the youngsters love it. Public obviously love it. So, they just go with the flow. Perhaps I'm too old. And as I said, I'm a traditionalist. I don't like to see too much change. It's an important thing before an international to sing your anthem, national anthem. It's and you just want to get on with the game. Never mind all the antics before and all the glitz of it. It's a big occasion, the international anyway. But it's the way. It's the sign of the times, Tom.
Yeah, they opted for the a cappella national anthem this time as well,
Right.
to let the stadium take over with the lyrics. What were your thoughts, Fraser? If you were a Wales international, you're lining up against the haka, which you respect, old school like Gordon, and then all of a sudden it becomes a spectacle before your kickoff in your home ground.
I wasn't particularly bothered by it, to be honest, Tom. I look at it at the moment as at least the WRU are maybe trying to be proactive and give the crowd something to remember. Ticket sales have been struggling. It perhaps was a little bit over the top, as you said there, with the light show, but it wasn't something I'm particularly bothered by. I think professional players are used to it now. I don't think the pre-game stuff, we have so much razzmatazz anyway, don't we? So I don't think it would have affected them in any particular way. But, ticket sales, we've talked about ticket sales, haven't we? I'm not sure if it was quite full on Saturday. Obviously, we've got this game coming up this Saturday. And just before I came on air, actually, I had an email telling me that because I went to the Argentina game, if I filled in a fan survey about my experience of the day, I'd get 25% off the ticket for South Africa. Wow. It suggests to me that they're not shifting many. There's rumours of only less than 30,000 being sold at the moment. And we'll maybe come on to the reasons why in a moment.
Gosh, like that's half of what the capacity was against New Zealand on the weekend. And you said that professional players wouldn't have been swayed by the light show beforehand. And, well, a little bit of promise, Fraser, from the Welsh team.
I thought so. I actually took quite a bit of encouragement from watching that. It's a Welsh team with at least is performing with a bit of heart and has something about it in attack. To score 4 tries against New Zealand. Great moment for Tom Rogers, first Welsh player to score a hat-trick against the All Blacks. Rhys Samet is looking sharp again out wide. It's a Welsh team which is certainly carrying a lot more threat than it seems to have done the last year or two. I will say that. The obvious problem is, we're still shipping tries, and it was a New Zealand side, remember. It wasn't a vintage New Zealand side. It's one which is perhaps transitioning a bit. It has made 13 changes from their defeat at Twickenham. And I think it's 18 tries Wales have given away in 3 internationals, which is obviously way too high. And I can imagine a couple more being added, unfortunately, this coming Saturday. So defensively, there's a long way to go. But in terms of ball in hand, in terms of how we're attacking, I think there's certainly the green shoots that everyone keeps talking about might finally be appearing in that sense.
Whenever I think of Wales, I think of that attacking threat and that bit of flair on the ball and running with that abandon. Gordon, was it quite refreshing to see a team with intent to try and score against the All Blacks? They weren't content just shrinking back.
No, as Fraser said, they did their best. We are where we are at this moment in time. We are lacking very much defensively. I think it's 127 points we shipped in 3 internationals. I mean, that's criminal at the international level or at any level. Defensively, we're just not strong enough against these sides who are so physical. Argentina, All Blacks and South Africa coming on Saturday. They're so you've got to get your hands on the ball. You've got to be able, and they did show glimpses of some good stuff, to be honest with you. And out wide, they were very good. Tom Rogers, 3 tries. That's first Welshman ever to cross against the All Blacks. But let's not get too carried away with it. Even when we had our best Welsh side back in the day, we still haven't beaten New Zealand. It's 7 decades. It's an incredible record, and it's testament to New Zealand rugby. When you think of all the other home nations, Fraser, that they've all beaten the All Blacks at some point, and Wales have never done it. I just can't get my head around how we haven't had a little bit of luck or a little bit, over the 70 years of not beating them. But you've got to give them full credit. They're a strong nation, proud nation like Wales, but we've got a long way to go yet. The Six Nations is going to be tough looking forward as well at the other results that are happening. So we're at the bottom of the pile at the moment. There's only one way we can go, either further or go up. But yeah, Tandy has shown signs with his coaching team that they want to play a more positive style of rugby. But as I said, the defence is really shocking at this moment in international rugby. And we just have to, grin and bear it for now, Tom.
And grin and bear it, Fraser, is that the phrase that we need to get prepared for this upcoming Saturday with 13 departures from that Welsh camp against South Africa on the weekend?
It's potentially a very, very disparaging and disheartening day ahead, isn't it? I mean, look, there's debate over whether this game is to be played. I've long argued that, unfortunately, there's a bigger issue at hand here. We can't complain about the WRU being financially stricken, can't afford to fund fourth pro sides and all the rest of it. There's a reason they play this fixture, because it's worth so many million to them. I am not sure the exact figure. However, that does seem to be counteracted at the moment if these rumours are true that less than 30,000 are being sold. So if they don't sell the tickets for that game, that's when you do seriously question whether or not it should be played. But I understand reluctantly why it is arranged outside of the international window, but in the current circumstance, and if South Africa goes strong and obviously play at full tilt, it could be a very, very difficult day, and a day that probably the players don't need, that has to be said.
And of course, these are players that even the first string team, if you will, those that play abroad and have that greater experience, it's throwing, well, there's a few uncapped players in that squad. There's caps that were given for the first time against New Zealand. Morgan Morse coming off the bench to get his first, a little bit biased because I know his family member. But it is also a potential opportunity, depending on how well this team gels, to show actually there is a bit of depth in Wales, even with everything that's going on in the regions. Gordon.
Yeah, obviously we're in a difficult situation. Regional rugby's in a state. WRU are in a state. We're trying to get to grips with moving forward, and it's been very difficult. And Fraser's right. Playing these top teams, it is great to have them coming over here. But with our side so. They're not near the pace of these guys, and I mean we're probably playing their second teams. That's the how bad we are at this moment in time. But as I say, it is what it is. We need to get our regional rugby all sorted. We need the contract sorted. We want to know how many teams are going to be playing. We've gone through over this over and over and over again, but we need to get things sorted before we can start really moving forward.
Fraser, what would success look like on Saturday once that final whistle blows?
To be honest, I'm not even thinking about the result-wise. Again, threat with ball in hand and a much more cohesive defensive display, I think. But it's not going to be easy with the personnel we have out. And I admire your optimistic take, Tom, but I'm deeply concerned if this is the opportunity to showcase the depth in Welsh rugby, with the depth that there currently is or isn't. I think it could be exposing some new players to, like I said, a very harrowing afternoon. But certainly,
I will say, Fraser, that and it's a strong thing to say, but a lot of them aren't even international quality. That's the problem.
Yeah,
that is the problem. Mm-hmm. Good luck to them when you win your cap. It's great to it, but they're a long way off the mark.
I'd like to say a solid defensive display would represent success, but it's going to be something very difficult to do, obviously.
And it's the physicality more than anything for me, Fraser. The big guys, the South Africans, and we will struggle to. We'll knock them down for a little while, but you'll get tired, and they just steamroller over you, and then they can do whatever they want. They can play all the fancy stuff, and we'll be, struggling. It's going to be a long afternoon, I think. But we got to be positive and hope they put in a good performance. And if they stayed within 15 points loss, but I can't see it. But if they did, that would be okay.
You'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts. Call or WhatsApp 01437 764455. We're live on the social media, where we'll be back in just a few moments' time. We've got one of the judges here. We might have mentioned that before. The Sport Pembrokeshire Awards are this Friday. Fraser, you excited?
I am indeed, but the more you lot keep re-emphasising the fact I'm a judge, the more blame I'm going to get on Friday from the runners-up. So if we could just concentrate on Alan's role. But yes, I am.
Yeah, we've got Alan joining us from Sport Pembrokeshire to give us a preview of the Sport Pembrokeshire Awards this weekend, this Friday. I love the awards, and I love that next Monday we're going to give you the insight on those winners, fresh from them coming off the stage. More details and also some senior golf exploits from Alan to come next here on your Pure Sports Show with Eaton-Evans and Morris Solicitors.
Eaton-Evans and Morris Solicitors have